His house is wall.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order and pledge of allegiance and vote of silence. Take your seats. Roll call.
Commissioner Stilwell?
Here.
Commissioner Wong? Here. Commissioner Kuzma? Here. Commissioner Beckwith? Here. Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Roberts?
Here.
President Adams?
Here. Okay, at this time, when I talk to the president of the commissioners, I want to do it for a year. So this time I think the board needs to elect a new leader. It was a pleasure to serve. I appreciate my colleagues for electing me to do this job. And now I'm going to open the floor for nominations for the board president.
I'll nominate Andrew Kuzma.
Second. Okay, roll call vote.
Commissioner Stilwell?
No.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
No.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Adams?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. So, before we get started with the rest of the meeting, I just want to say, thank you to the commissioners for electing me as your president. Thanks to everyone in the audience. We have 13,000 people that live in this township, and we have 30 that decide to come to these meetings, be involved, figure out what's going on in this township, and try to help. So I appreciate you all being here, and I'm going to do the best job I possibly can, and I will not let you down. Okay. Here. Okay, appointment of Township Emergency Management Coordinator. I'll accept a motion to reappoint Damian Michael as Emergency Management Coordinator.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote?
Commissioner Stilwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. I'll accept the motion to reappoint T. Code, William Greenwald, and Johnson Nelson as Deputy Coordinators.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Stilwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Okay, appointments to the South Hills Area Council of Governments. Accept the motion to appoint Glenn to the Shea Club Board of Directors representing Westfield Township. I'll accept that nomination.
I'll nominate Kyle Walker.
So moved.
I'll second. Question on the motion? Roll call vote?
Commissioner Stilwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Accept the motion to appoint Blank as alternate to the Shea Club Board of Directors representing Elizabeth Township. I'll accept the nomination for that position.
You did that last time, Rob.
Yeah, I was your alternate. Absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to, make a motion for Rob Roberts, please.
I'll second it. We'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Stilwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Wong?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes.
Hey, can I ask a question? Does this have to be shake on?
I believe so. Yeah,
Pull that mic.
all right. Okay, citizens to address agenda items. Lynn Taylor.
Thank you, Commissioners. Again, I have the same slide, you gave me pictures of last week, if we want to run through them again.
Okay.
Number 9. Do you want to see what we have, or do we need to discuss? I'll show. This is Margaret Street, number
Okay,
9.
do you want me to address this now or part of the motion? Because I do have information on this as well.
Then go first and then, we'll get to.
Get up to that mic here, Clint, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. So again, this time I just switched it from 5 to 9. We have still lack of drainage. We have field that is overfilled with trees in the field, which is against our code. We need to figure out who is handling the code in the township. Who is supposed to go inspect this stuff to say, hey, yes, at the completion of work, we're going to pay X amount of dollars for this work that we completed. Right now, we have nobody that's going out there and saying, hey, yes, this work was completed. This gentleman, he's not going out there and saying, yes, the work was completed. This is a recent picture this morning. Water still flooding over the drill, causing erosion onto the Greater Allegheny Passage, which is going to cause damage and get you in more litigation with people that we don't want to deal with. So, I mean, you can see, we still have water overflowing. This morning?
Yeah, there's water.
So here's the drain that they were supposed to be fixing down at the bottom. Still not fixed, I mean,
Not complete yet, that's why their equipment's
if
still
it's
there.
not complete, we should be not be considering paying $80,000. And when we do pay this bill, we want a list of stuff that was paid for, because if they're claiming this stone cost that much money, I mean, they didn't even put the basins in to hold the stone back, like they're supposed to in engineering. I mean, they threw it in the ground and packed it with some mud. Can't do that. We need to find out who is the code enforcement officer in this township that handles these codes. There's codes on these things. Who handles these?
I'd like to see the picture.
Absolutely. So this is the first one. This is the, if you're looking down the hill on the right side, that's the water. You can see it runs right over. It's flooding it. Okay. See what we got there? That's a huge amount of water that's flooding. This drain was supposed to take that water. See, this is the end of that. Comes over, that drains right there. They've dammed it up. I mean, you can see the fields they use, they just put anything in there that they possibly could. I mean, it's not done right. I've been in construction a long time. I mean, he'll say that it's not complete, but what you're gonna do is go there, you're gonna clear the dam, you're gonna let the water go through, but it's still not complete correctly. We should not be paying for work that's not done right.
All right, hang on. Just say where you are. All right, Brian.
So I guess where I'll start is, this was, bid by Plavchak. They had some unit prices, but mostly it was an emergency. There was a lump sum based on the recommendation report from Ackenhow Engineers, dated September 12th. Ackenhow gave a 2-page recommendation on what should be completed, along with a sketch, 8-foot benches, riprap, and choked with stone, and then for cost savings, the very top layer, which has no structural significance, was to be soil put back. Ackenhow,
That's up there, that's supposed to be clean fill. It's in the code.
Ackenhow was there on November 1st, November 5th, November 9th, November 21st. They inspected that the riprap was put in, the stone was put in, and based on conversation with them, they had verified that what they designed was completed. There is outstanding work that needs to be finished, but what is in is what they had recommended, and that they see no issues with the work other than finishing it, and that there's no structural concerns of the road sliding or anything like that. Yes, there are other methods of doing it. The way this was done was the most cost efficient, quick manner, and Akinhal was there to inspect it. And they will also give, once it's fully complete, they will issue a letter stating that the remediation is sufficient.
What are you gonna do about the drain that you removed, that this drain connected to? There was a drain directly on the other side of that road, you took it out.
There is a drainage detail that Akinhal has come up with that Plat checks was.
Okay, so, once again, I mean, detailed receipts of what are we spending 80 grand on? It was a 40-foot fix. I mean, it was.
It's over 100,000.
And, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, seriously, I could have taken my little machine down there and helped you guys out. Did it on a weekend for a couple $1,000. Oh, absolutely.
There was five in there, the biggest cars.
I watch them every day I drive by. I'm not gonna argue. I mean, I know.
All right, hey, I appreciate it,
Yeah.
but, like, listen, not just,
One question I have is, who is engineer, who do we go to when we have these codes? Who is the questions to answer for the codes in this township?
if you have a concern with the codes,
Yes.
Don Snell's.
Okay, so again, then, when we asked, last week, last meeting, it was on record that he didn't do that. We can't be giving him a raise, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think when we have costs of this magnitude, we ought to at least provide quotes.
And I suggested that, Brian.
Right.
You were the
Yeah,
one.
it's-
And he said it was an emergency, but that emergency took 2 months for them to come in.
Or 2 months.
And I said that from the beginning, it wasn't an emergency. 2 months is not an emergency to me.
Thank you.
There were also, three other places that you contacted about trying to take this on an emergency basis. They all declined, as I remember. Were there a total of 4 that you contacted?
I don't know the number, but we did have, I know Creative declined, there was another one.
This was the time of the year. These guys were all so busy. We were all upset about that. We wanted it as an emergency. They said they would do it, but
This has been how long? 2 months. It's not an emergency. Let's make it a level playing field.
Okay, next up. Russ Urbana.
Russ Urbana, 325 High Street. Item number 5, there's a motion to direct the Civil Service Commission to begin the process for testing for entry-level patrolmen. Are we planning to hire more police officers?
Come in, I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
I was just wondering,
I'm
just curious.
Is there a number 5?
Yeah.
I will, you know what, I think it's within a year or two, we're gonna have some, how many officers are we gonna have retire? Like around 2 or 3?
within 3 years, I think 3 of us.
Yeah, and I'd rather hire now and have those senior police officers trained and, before they retire.
We're also down an officer. We never replaced, Sergeant Honor.
Okay. Yeah, so we're not increasing the size of the police force.
You made some mention too that you're gonna have 2 officers that are gonna be strictly to, investigation.
Well, if we expand it, I mean, I think it's time the department of media detective on here to better follow up on cases. And that'll also free up the patrol officers, while they'll still do some cases, be able to be out on the road and stay secure. So that, I mean, even civil service, when we discussed it, they agree with me on that. It's time for this department to have that.
Yeah, so we're not increasing the size of the police department, we're just anticipating a decrease, and we're trying to get that out of the way.
Okay, so we're basically gonna replace people that are gonna retire.
Yep.
We'll do some people around. Okay, then, other, comments are on motions 7 and 8, which have to do with the, revised oil and gas, ordinance amendment. I think we need to approve this ordinance, so freshwater impoundments are permitted for gas drilling operations. This will remove thousands of water truck trips from the roads, and that will be a great benefit to the township. So I think we need to keep that amendment moving and get it through as fast as we can, because they're gonna start drilling pretty soon. So with the water impoundments, that'll be much better for the township.
We certainly appreciate her. Okay. Chris Thompson.
Chris Stoma, 127 Grouse Drive. First of all, I'd like to say, great job in your leadership role for the last year, Chris. You did a great job. It's not easy back here leading the township. I thought you did a nice job. Andrew, I wish you the best of luck going forward as well. And I wanted to make myself available. You have one of the items on discussion about municipal fencing and parking lot. The first one would be the fencing. We had a child, I think you guys each got a packet here, it described about a child being injured. He had about 7 stitches on his hand. If anybody would want, any of the commissioners would like me to take them up there and take a look at the fencing and how it's set up, and then also the parking lot as well. Also in here are 2 bids, and multiple proposals on which way we could go. One would be a pirate grant that we could apply for. We probably need the township's help because it's township property, but we were successfully able to apply for a pirate grant at the Mount Vernon property this past year for a batting cage. I've seen the awards go up as high as $15,000 for those, and it's a matching grant of 50-50. So with that, and then also too with this is potentially, I don't know what the budgets are, et cetera, but as we discussed in here was, on the bid, was that the backstop and the fencing around could be separated a year, like do one this year and then apply for another grant for the next year, et cetera. But if that is the chosen path, I would think the fencing would be the most priority because that's where the injury has happened. And if you walk up there, you look down the sideline, it's like this, they're going back and forth. We've had kids running into them as well. So if any, I know you guys have an open floor discussion, so if there's a question that you guys discuss amongst yourselves when you go to this discussion, feel free to call me and I'll come back up here and discuss that with you. Try to answer any questions you may have. So I appreciate your time.
That
Yes.
injury that occurred last year,
Yes.
was that from
This
the
year.
tree hanging over, or was it from the fence?
It was from the fence itself. Basically what happens is whoever did the fencing 20 years ago, I'm assuming, because I've been doing this for 13 and it's been the same thing up there. But most fencing, it has a top bar and a bottom bar. And it gives it the fence stability because you have your posts, like there's a post and then there's another post. So, and then they have a top bar that connects them together on the bottom and the top. There isn't. So the bars are going like this, moving, and then there's no protection on the top part because usually the bar is just a little bit higher than the top of the fence. So it helps by the protection. Now last year we purchased EFY, if you notice, we put the red trim around the outside of it to try and help with the injuries, but there was still a piece hanging out, and coincidentally, that child got it. And they didn't make a big deal about it, but we want to try and be proactive, and it was important we talked with Joelle and see if we could just maybe have a discussion about it and see how that works from there.
I'm sure we'll work it out.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right.
So, thank you.
Okay. Emerson Banksy, I see is your subject an agenda item or is it a non-agenda item?
Yeah, it's Swearingen Road.
Is it on the agenda?
No, but you have everything else on the agenda. Forest Hills Road has been closed for over a year. You're putting $100-some thousand into Market Street, which goes into Westmoreland County. Forest Hills Road is part of Elizabeth Township. It's the only way in and out through Allegheny County, and it's still closed. You just haven't done nothing with it. You can't get to Smithville unless you go to Westmoreland County. What is the problem? The kids can't bring you with this road fixed, or Roger, forget about it. At least someone else could do something, is try to start fixing the roads around here. You're worried about water trucks coming in, you can't get a fire truck from Smithville unless you're in Westmoreland County. Why can't we do something with Smithville? Are they forgotten about?
No, you're not forgotten about. I'll tell you, the main issue, the reason why we just haven't gone up there and done it is because of the enormous cost. It's over $500,000. We have to pull this upcoming year, $300,000 out of our capital reserve just to balance the budget, so we didn't have to raise taxes. We're not in good shape in this township. I mean, we haven't had tax money come in yet. We told the ladies in the office to put it on paper, because we don't know if we're gonna be able to make it. So that's the reason it's the $500,000. We've applied for grants through the GDF and CITF, and we have a dismal amount for our paving every year. So that's the reason. I mean, if it was up to me, you know, hey, just do it tomorrow, but we don't
Which
have.
it's okay to put a power plant in down there, which they have no road to get to. So they're gonna put a power plant in down here supposedly, but you have no road to get to it. I guess they're gonna fix the road for you.
I haven't seen our land development plan, so I'm not sure.
Well, there's no other way through Allegheny County to get there, and they can't go out some bridges down Westmoreland on the end of Market Street. They're too sharp bends, you can't get tractor trailers across them.
I understand.
So it's the only way in. So if we keep the road closed, maybe we should do away with it, and you won't be able to put a fire plant in. That seems like your plan, unless you went to the fire company to put the road in for you.
We haven't seen a land development application yet, so we'll get.
Discuss. Thank you.
Discuss.
Okay. Ted Grice.
Want to put a parking lot in there.
Hi, Ted.
Hi, how are you? Congratulations.
Excellent.
Ted Gray, 1645 Scenery Drive. In August of 2017, the Planning Commission finalized the pipeline ordinance. County comments for that ordinance came through in October of 2017. In June of 2018, at the Commissioners meeting, it was asked when was the pipeline ordinance going to go before the Commissioners on their agenda. Because there are safeguards in the ordinance that need to be put in place before pipelines are built. And instead, pipelines are being presently built using the old ordinance. We're pushing oil and gas issues through at a rapid pace without safeguards in place or the big picture of how these different oil and gas parts interconnect with one another. 5 months later, in November of 2018, I asked when was the pipeline ordinance going to be moved forward. I was told it was still in process. It was said there has been a lot that's happening in the case of here. There's the energy thing and the Huntley and the other things that we had to take care of. The pipeline ordinance is still going through the process. That's what I was told. Here we are in January, and an oil and gas ordinance that came out of planning the first time, 10 months after the pipeline ordinance, that oil and gas is getting a hearing, but the pipeline ordinance isn't. In November of 2018, planning sent back to the commissioners the oil and gas, which is now 15 months after the pipeline ordinance came from planning, and the pipeline ordinance still isn't being considered. Normally, I would be glad to have the oil and gas ordinance discussed, safeguards be put in place, and to move that process forward. But my concern is that there's going to be a public comment section, but no changes will be made except what benefits the industry. It should be discussed, the oil and gas ordinance, and thoughtfully considered without an immediate vote, but be processed through. I have asked in planning meetings, I've discussed in commission meetings about setbacks to be considered, and the only changes that are going on for safeguards are adding 250 feet to a setback, adding 10 acres minimum, and adding sound walls as a safeguard. More has been added to this ordinance because Huntley & Huntley asked for it than any changes for any protection. In the September 17th meeting, I was told when I listed examples of conditions that could be considered to be put in the oil and gas ordinance, that I should mention conditions at the public hearing and they could be considered. However, no conditions were put on Plutus beyond what was already put on Apollo B, except for paving of the road afterwards. At the September 17th meeting in 2018, the measure to have the oil and gas ordinance to go to planning and county simultaneously failed the commissioners by a vote of 3-4. In the October 1st meeting, Solicitor Kunis asked for the board to vote to send it to planning because he said, and this is quoted from their minutes, that they did decline, you did decline to send it to the county, and there was a discussion to send it to planning, but there was never a final motion on it. So the board had a motion, and they voted, and unanimously the vote voted to go ahead and send it to planning, and that was from the October 1st meeting, and it hit into planning. However, this board never voted to send it to the county for review. There are no minutes for November 5th, 19th, 17th, or 20th December. There's nothing on the agenda tonight about minutes that are going on. And we are so backlogged because you're moving so quickly through everything that you don't have any time to process everything. Thank you.
Thank you for your individuals aren't on the agenda, but we're just gonna do it anyway, just to get out of the way. We'll take Emil Bureau.
Like you're gonna cover the non-intended state.
This is about Invenergy. Invenergy is an environmental issue with all the dissidents here. Let's talk about that. Route 48 corridor has more pollution and noise than this plant will ever produce. I live on that corridor, I can tell you for a fact. There are eagles living over a junkyard in Hayes. Eagles are nesting on the Halton Bridge in Oak Point. Peregrine falcons are nesting on the Cathedral of Learning and the golf building downtown. There are five of these plants, which I've mentioned prior, in Pittsburgh and Oakland, with three more being added this year. I also mentioned University of Indiana, Pennsylvania has one of these plants, and I just found out the little town of Evansburg has a small plant. And I want to mention the attorney cherry-picked a case about the spot zoning. These cases are adjudicated all the time, mostly in favor of the spot zoning, and they can call it whatever you want. As a community, we can't afford to pass this up. Ross Straver or Forward Township will be happy to have this plant.
Give it to them.
Opponents will not be here. The opponents are mostly older people who will not be here to see the economic disaster that they will be creating for this township. A gentleman mentioned Jefferson Hills development, about the growth and all the homes being built over there. What he didn't tell you, the Clayton Sanitary Authority was greatly increased to accommodate the sewers that they were putting in for those developments. No sewers, no developing. We don't have we should have had a sewer plant finished in 2015, and we haven't even started to finish it. Now, I have some confidential information, and I don't know if I'm breaking the rules here, but you know, with personal people. But I was told that I brought up the fact that Tenaska plant in over by 31 and 70, they gave a gift to that township of $25 million. I brought it up to an individual to go to Invenergy, and they showed that to Invenergy, and Invenergy said they'll do something similar. And what it would mean is revenue to the township, to the school district, or still paving for that gentleman out there would be a part of it, tearing down all the abandoned and condemned homes in the township, all of them, money to finish the sanitary system, soccer fields, baseball fields, a concession stand, a new fire truck for Blydale, fire hydrants for Smithville, and a $1.5 million severance fee. If they don't come here, they'll agree to pay the township $1.5 million. The opponents will not be here to see this disaster that they are going to be creating if they vote this project down. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nothing in writing.
And we have one last, Joyce Newmeyer.
But why the increase in the trash pickup and nobody was notified? $60 a year for people that are retired.
I totally understand.
So our last contract was bid through the COG, so it is I think it's a 4-year agreement we went into. So we had a 5-year agreement with Waste Management that expired at the end of this year. When we went in with COG, it means you go in with a number of communities, so we're going in with actually, I think, 22 other communities to bid on the garbage. So basically by having a number of communities bid together, you can bring the cost down. So when we went in with the COG, one of the parts of that bid was it eliminated what we had here, which was the senior citizens discount. So that discount has now gone away because we went in with the other communities in order to hopefully bring the overall cost of the contract down.
The thing is, nobody was notified. You know, if it's $5, that's one thing. 15 a quarter is $60 a year. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, typically, like, the municipality would pay Waste Management directly. The Waste Management in this township, we're one of only like 2, I think, where they take care of the billing themselves. So Waste Management does all the billing themselves and does all the collection I guess maybe Waste Management probably should have notified all the residents
Well,
that
when
it's
I
gonna be going
contacted
up.
them, they blamed you guys.
Sure they did.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah,
And then when I called here, they blamed Waste Management. So,
Well,
I was gonna say, we are gonna meet with Waste, I mean, you are right, I mean, I'm down in industry, and we don't have a very booming, it's not like a booming metropolis yet. So I can understand how that's an impact, especially to, seniors.
Sure, is there's a lot of senior citizens in this.
Oh, whenever I born up down in Buena Vista, a woman came to the door and she had holes in her shoes, her toes were sticking out, I mean, come on. Now you're gonna, charge them another $60? So we are gonna meet with,
Yeah, we have reached out, we are communicating with Waste Management, we let them know what an issue has become, and so we're trying to do what we can in order to hopefully alleviate that or do something with it. We're
Because I
doing
know
our best.
Jefferson was increased $5.
It depends also what their previous contract was, you understand? So we were, we were an individual, then we were an so everyone, if they had individual contracts, would get a different starting point.
If we all went together, wouldn't it be cheaper?
Right.
I mean, you just said if we all went together, it's supposed to get cheaper, but in return,
It would be.
it went backwards.
Well,
I mean, that makes no sense on.
Yeah, so no, not necessarily, that, it was cheaper than what it would have been if we would have gone into the original contract with them individually, you understand what I'm saying? So if we would have not have bid it through the COG, if we would have then negotiated our expired contract, our contract expired in 2018, right? So it was a 5-year contract, actually it was a 3-year with 2 optional renewals, which we did implement.
Can't we, the
Hold on a
public,
second,
see the difference?
Let me explain. So when we first bid it in 2013, those were the costs that we were bidding for that 5-year, we were based on 2013 costs, right? So when 2018 comes, after the 2 renewals, obviously things increase, costs increase for them, everything else. And this, I'm just explaining to you that always explained to me. From
But I'm
Waste
saying,
Management.
why can't we look at bids or somebody else then? I mean, there's other options out there, guys.
You could. The way that it worked is that when COG bid it, so there were other bidders. Waste Management happened to be the lowest bidder that the council of
Well, if we
governments,
don't
the
go
COG
with them,
bid
if we
on.
go
I
into.
sat in on all these meetings,
Yeah.
every one of them. They had, 4 national companies bid 23 municipalities as a group. Now, they don't get to say, oh, we only want this, we only want that. The COG gives them the rules.
Right.
And what's gonna happen, and they bid on that, and Waste Management picked it up. If we would have tried to negotiate a separate contract with Waste Management, it was gonna be higher. And the reason is because of the recycling. Recycling has become a huge, huge problem. Huge problem.
No one's buying.
So, no, we went through what we had to do. We did our due diligence. It did get more expensive. Last 5 years ago, wasn't as expensive. That's your answer, Clint.
It's crazy, huh?
Okay, so that concludes our public comment. Resolutions. I need a motion to approve resolution 1-2019, reappointing Dylan Beckwith to the Civil Service Commission. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner Simmelon?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Kisner?
Yes. Items for discussion, municipal field and Spencer Place on the parking lot in winter, that was Chris Hammond, but I'll open it up to the board if anyone has any thoughts on it. It is our property, and I think we have enough money in the budget to be able to remediate any issues up there.
Yeah, we should fix those issues, we should take care of.
Yeah, if we could go on a grant, and get a matching grant, maybe.
We should apply.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
You can't buy paper, you start.
Okay,
Paper parking lot.
410 Circle Drive, stormwater evaluation.
We get flooded and get nothing.
Is that right?
I guess I'll just open it up. I included a memorandum last month, with my engineering report on this item. We did complete an evaluation. There is, damage to the property. It's a runoff issue that, on the clay drive, the catch basins there, discharge into what I'll call an earthen ditch. It discharges, and then 410 is below that, and the stormwater runs down through the back of the property, and then down to the nearest streams. There are exhibits in the memo. And the property owner has attempt to address the issues, on their own. And at this point, it's, more than what they could handle. So we did put together some options and evaluation on, what exactly we would recommend be done. Of those erosion control and stormwater management, recommendations, we did give a cost estimate for installing a pipe from the point of discharge from a clay above all the way down to the street. But I would open it up for discussion.
So the only problem I had with it was that, one of the price tag of $140,000, like I said, to be able to balance the budget, we had to pull $300,000 out of capital reserve just so we didn't have to raise taxes. Is this something that the road department is capable of doing at a lower rate?
Yeah, I think that, Jake and I can go through it, beyond availability, I think that this project is capable of. There's adequate fall along there, so they shouldn't be too deep. There would be easements required that the township would still need to obtain, but I don't think that it's any type of work that they could accomplish.
I thought they were considering the road, we ought to consider the road department first on the roads.
Yeah, I totally agree. Hey, one other question I want to ask you, involving the water problem we've been having up and down Rock Run Road, have you revisited that at all, or have you, looked into that?
The stormwater project that we're looking at, we are, going through permitting right now.
Okay.
For that, but, beyond just this farm issue, there's nothing else that.
Okay.
Another question I have on this, Brian, it is a pretty significant issue, I mean, because it basically, you know, it's our water, it daylights out, and it's affecting people further down, further down the, downstream. But my question is there any way that we could change something in our ordinance so we could have a better look at this in the future? Because this isn't the first time, I mean, I know Joey and Dawn were here with the Vista Metals, issue, and all that water was coming down. And I'm just wondering if there's something that we could do when somebody files a building permit, if we can have a separate stormwater evaluation, maybe done by the engineer or something like that, to know, so we don't get into these price tags and these issues. I mean, because if somebody is gonna build a house and they know, like, hey, there's water that's coming from a quarter-mile away or so, and it's a township water, I mean, maybe we could absolve ourselves out of that and maybe let the homeowner know when they're gonna build to say, hey, you know what, this could be an issue that you're gonna have to deal with, and that way the township, because we, honestly, we can't afford it, but without an ordinance, I don't know if we have a choice, because it's our water, we're making a mess of that problem, and we allow them to build without that. So my question is there something that we may be able to do? You know, I hate to have any more permits, but I think in due diligence for the township as a whole and the taxpayers, I think it may be the best thing to do. If we could take a look at maybe having a separate stormwater evaluation for new homes that are being built, or any new construction in Elizabeth Township.
That big pipe that comes out from under the railroad.
No, this what we're talking about here is a separate.
Hang on, Mark.
I have some information that might help you on that subject. There's grants you can apply for. It's called Selling Legacy Fund grants. On flooding, watersheds, sewage plants. Some of the Act 13.
Okay.
So you saw, I can apply for all these. And I need his help, because I need something done about creek. With this thing. And this will help pay for it. It's called I put online, it's called, it's a ballot to help find this. This grant help.
We're all about grant. I'll tell you.
And he's passed out. The grant not too long ago. I don't know if you even know about this. You let me craft or take advantage of the money that they're supposed to call back.
Listen, you know all about it.
Anybody else? Nothing's wrong. Anybody else? Then you call it? Well, this is what I was trying to do. Well, usually, we just have to go see what was out there. There's a lot of grants.
so that concludes our items for discussion, and we will move on to new business. I will ask for a motion to approve the general fund bill warrant dated January 7th, 2019, in the amount of $200,745.76.
So moved.
I need a second.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. I need a motion to approve the sanitary general fund bill warrant dated January 7th, 2019, in the amount of $87,219.68.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. I would like a motion to approve the continued use of Northwest Savings Bank as the township depository.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. A motion to ratify the exoneration of the tax collector of delinquent real estate taxes retroactive to December 31st, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Motion to direct the Civil Service Commission to begin the process of testing and compile a list for entry-level patrolmen and approved costs associated with advertising and testing materials.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
In answer to the questions before, this is not a quick process. It takes about a year for this to be complete. With all these everything. All good.
Probably about 6 months.
At least.
If everything moves along well,
6 months, yes, but we haven't found it to always move along.
Like the chief said, we are not an officer. Since Sergeant Dahl retired, so I think we should get the process moving.
Okay. Motion to approve pay requests 1 and 2 in the amount of $76,950 and $28,880 for the Schweitzer Road retaining wall project.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Silva?
Yes.
Commissioner Locke?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to advertise for public hearing on proposed oil and gas ordinance amendment for January 29th, 2019 at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion?
Matt, we have to do this.
It's part of the process.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to adopt the ordinance, you have to have a vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Yeah, motion to authorize the advertisement of the proposed oil and gas ordinance amendment.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One. Motion to approve pay application number 1 from Flat Track Construction in the amount of $80,000 for work completed on the Margaret Street landslide remediation project.
So moved.
I'll second it. Question on the motion?
Just a discussion. I mean, I know there's been a lot of, concerns, and I know it's not, the project's not completed, but I do want to just have the solicitor weigh in on this as far as like, because I know there's always stuff that comes out and, back and forth, but I wanted to see what your legal standpoint is. Because, if we don't pay the bill, do we have any legal obligations as far as like with timelines and things like that?
So I don't really even know the status of it. Obviously, if the contractor's done work, and there is no issue with it, and our engineer said there's no issue with it, then, under several laws, including the Prompt Pay Act, you would be obligated to pay the contractor. Again, I don't know, I'm not an engineer, I don't review it, I don't know what the status is, but if Brian is our professional retained engineer saying there's no issue with it, and they've requested payment of it, then we are typically required to either pay the bill or within a certain time frame notify them that there are deficiencies with the work that they've done. So you have time frames under the law if you're going to do that. So that's kind of
Brian, what's your recommendation?
my recommendation would be that you pay it. Obviously, it was tabled last month. for further information to be obtained. And we did contact Akenhow. They have inspection reports, notes, photos, and they were the ones that designed it, and they feel that it's completed. The portion that is to be paid is completed based on what they were supposed to do.
And this is pay application number one, I mean, this isn't the final, this isn't, I mean, should we be, you know, approving the final bill and it's not done, then there would be a separate issue and things like that, so I'm good with it, so, thank you.
Well, it's not complete.
They have to finish the hillside grading, and they have to finish the toe of the slope, where that drainage pipe is. They'll be putting a little more riprap in there. When they had left the site, they were waiting until the soil dried up a little bit, when they were trying to move it around.
When it's done, will you inspect that yourself?
I looked at it today, I will look at it when it's done, but Akenhow will also issue a final remediation / inspection report that it has been completed to recommendation.
But you can go ahead.
Well, if an inspection is done after the fact, what's our remedy if they find one right?
Is there a point on?
I think this numbers don't add up.
I mean, the numbers that were, that are requested are based on a proposal that was approved.
Brian, there's an individual in the audience that's asking if there was a bond on that project.
We did not have bonding on this due to the way it was quoted, yeah. But I mean, I think if something is deficient, that they were supposed to complete under the scope, we can go back to it.
Is there a guarantee, a year guarantee or on the work, any type of follow-up?
There was not our standard, we bid a contract out, we typically have bonding, and insurance, all of those things. This was just, it was a quote, based on the circumstances at the time. So, once again, I mean, if there are things that were not done correctly, the contractor will come back and fix them, but no, there is no bond or anything like that in this project.
So what leverage do we have against them if they, you know, if there's issues down there? Do we have any leverage? Like, I know this is the application number one, is there the application number two that we can hold back from us?
Yeah, if there are issues, I mean, at this point, what I'm saying is they've done what they've said that they were gonna do under their proposal.
What's the second pay application?
There's approximately $7,000 remaining.
No. We'll do a roll call. Yeah, we have a motion in a second, so.
Commissioner Simolo?
No, but I will take a ride up there this week.
Commissioner Walt?
I've seen it, it was done on an emergency basis. I remember discussing this at the time, we couldn't get anybody else to bid on it. I also remember, listening to the excuses that Plowjack had, they had machines down, they couldn't make it, they wanted to be there the week after it happened. Brian's saying that they completed the work they described. I have to vote yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes, I have to go on the engineer's report, I did drive down and look at it, it looks like it's good. He's saying everything's good, so I'm gonna take his recommendation and go yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
I'm gonna vote no, I haven't seen it, I will vote no.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes, I'm gonna vote yes.
Commissioner Robert?
I'm gonna go off of our engineer's recommendation, to vote yes.
President Kuzma?
I'll vote yes. Okay, motion to ratify temporary suspension of employee number 397.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion, some personnel issue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, do roll call, sorry.
Commissioner Simolo?
Yes.
Commissioner Walt?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to approve a $1 an hour hourly wage increase for Jane Montgomery effective January 1st, 2019, in accordance with the 2019 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Simolo?
Yes.
Commissioner Walt?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Motion to approve annual salary of $65,000 per year for John Snelson, effective January 1st, 2019, in accordance with the 2019 budget.
So moved. Second.
Question on the motion?
I do have a question. There's been a lot of correspondence, a lot of phone calls and things like that. And I know in the past, we basically just justified, salary increases with other municipalities and things like that were, that we're paying. I mean, do we have any comparisons, Joel, for other municipalities? And can we
Yeah, the
make
other
those
thing
aware
that's
to the public?
different is John is currently hourly, and with his hourly rate and what he makes in overtime is close to this number. So switching him to salary is actually a benefit for everybody, because you can't have unlimited overtime being a salary employee.
What did
Yes, I
John
can
do?
comparisons for every employee tier, to every municipality, in Avon, in Shaycon.
Yeah, because they have with everything, in there. And I think that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing that, there was an issue, because as long as we have comparisons or within that, I think that's what the issue is, so.
What is his job?
Does he have help also working with him?
Yeah, part-time.
So we have to add that to the salary also? Do other municipalities have two paid jobs to do?
Most of them have a whole department. Most of them
It's no secret
have.
that I don't, I wish he was here to defend himself, so that's why I came here.
What is the job?
All right, hey,
I like what I'm saying.
all right. Roll call.
Actually, I have one comment that I'd like.
We're not taking comments. All right, okay, roll call.
Commissioner Sinalo?
Yes.
Commissioner Watt?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Robert?
I'm actually gonna vote, I'm gonna abstain at this point, because I do have a question for John about the other certifications that he was supposed to get, because we had conversations a couple years ago, and I do think that those do come with substantial raises, and I don't think this is a substantial raise, but I do have questions about the certification, so I'm just gonna abstain at this point.
Okay. I'll vote yes. Motion to approve annual salary of $110,000 per year for Chief Restus effective January 1st, 2019, in accordance with the 2019 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Question on the motion?
Just the same comments. I do think that, we should release to the public what other municipalities or where we're at with the comparisons. Because I do know, like, the experience from before that I looked at, other municipalities do pay their chiefs a lot more than actually this amount. So I would like to go back to Joel again and just ask if comparisons were made.
Yes, let me answer,
All
if you don't mind,
municipalities'
Andrew.
salaries are public record, no matter which.
Yeah, exactly.
municipality it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
I worked on that a lot, Jane worked with me. We checked out all comparable municipalities, we looked at length of service, we looked at, the number of employees, and, quite frankly, in my opinion, and I've been here quite a while, too long for some people, but, our police department is excellent, and he gets no overtime. We have policemen making more than him, but that's all that is, and that's why Jane and I recommended it, and that should be sufficient evidence.
Well, when they did the budget, they researched all this was researched. The code enforcement research, the chief of police researched.
And Chris, I'm completely fine with that. I just think we need to just make that all public to the public.
Right.
That was done and there were, that's my point.
They did do the research.
I'm not against it, I'm not against it, but I'm just saying.
We need to split that. And I'm not, they earned everything they've made, they made 20,000 more than he did last year. I think we did due diligence.
And that's why I bring that up, because I want to make sure, because that's a lot of things that are out there. That piece of information hasn't been put out there, and I want to make sure that it's out
Right,
Do you
there.
think that we should give the public
I think we looked at 10 municipalities.
places
Yes.
that pay more? Do you think that we should give that information?
It is public information, but this is actually, This is less than a lot of.
Municipalities
Yes.
with similar village, similar population, similar schedule.
Yeah. The way,
Making the budget, we'll deal with their local state.
All right, roll call.
yeah, the way, I mean, like, I'll just finish it out here. I mean, the way I look at it, there are things that you could skimp on, and there are things that you should not skimp on. A police chief is something that you shouldn't be skimping on. You get what you pay for, okay?
He
So,
does a fine job.
yeah.
We have a good department, yes.
And I don't want you to retire anytime soon, and maybe this will help you keep coming. All right, roll call.
Make sure you guys know I changed part when I'm on 48 voice in me at
Commissioner Simula?
Yes.
Commissioner Rock?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Beckwith?
Yes.
Commissioner Blake?
Yes.
Commissioner Roderick?
Yes.
President Kuzma?
Yes. Okay, anything else? All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved.